Hello, it's Monique from Japanesey Reads. Tonight's Express PD is about circling. Circling is um, a questioning technique that is used in acquisition-driven classes, and it is a core skill for comprehensible input because it really allows maximum exposure to the language with minimal language. So lots and lots of repetitions, but done in an interesting and unpredictable way. So let's have a look at a few different ways that you can do it. Starting with the 5 steps. So basically you make a statement. The statement could be about information that you have been chatting about with your students, whether it be a co-created character or a story that you're asking and working on together. It could be about a movie talk or picture talk, any language that you are using with your students. And you'd like to provide lots of opportunities for the students to hear the core language. So it's not about, we're not circling information or language that the students have already acquired. So if they know skides, we don't need to circle that. So it's really a great technique to use when you are introducing a new language structure and you want to expose the students to that so they can hear it and have lots of chances of contact with that language chunk. So you make a statement. The statement could be Francis Sensei has a dog. That's the statement. And then you make a yes question. Does Francis Sensei have a dog? And the answer is yes. And then we repeat that again. That's right. Yes, Francis Sensei has a dog. And then you say, ask a no question. So, class, does Francis Sensei have a cat? No. And you're asking for they can either do a gesture depending on their level, or they might say, yeah. They could just shake their head. We're just looking for the comprehension of that question. And then you'd say again, that's right. Francis Sensei doesn't have a cat. She has a dog. And then step 4 is asking that either or question. So we're releasing responsibility slowly with our questioning. So again, class, does Francis Sensei have a giraffe or does she have a dog? And so you're giving them the options there, and they purely need to select the correct answer. So not as much responsibility, but a little bit of a step up from the yes, no responses. And step number 5 is then making that open-ended question, either a how or a why question, which provides just a little bit more challenge. So again, depending on where your students are, you can circle using a selection of these or or all of them. So let's have a look at an example. You may have seen this. This is a movie talk that I love to use at the beginning of the year. It uses it's based in a school, and the school is stationary. And so you can see the circling template there, which gives a little bit of a sample of how you could use this. Again, only circling what language is unknown and needs more repetition. So in this case, really trying to circle wants. So ga hoshi desu. So I would show a little bit of this in case you're not familiar with this. I'll just show a little bit. You might stop there, just a little snippet, and then say, Minasan, kami-san wa tomodachi ga hoshii desu. So you make the statement, and that is your set statement that you are going to circle. And then follow up with the yes question. Minasan, kami-san wa tomodachi ga hoshii desu ka? And I like to use a gesture for the ka, which helps them know that that is a question. And the students will respond either with hi or thumbs up or a nod. And then we recast that again. So, そうですね。神さんは友達が欲しいです。Following straight after that, you can ask a no question, and it could be substituting the verb, it could be substituting the object or the verb. So you can see a couple of examples there. So, Mina-san, Francis sensei wa tomodachi ga hoshii desu ka? Dwayne Johnson ga, Dwayne Johnson wa tomodachi ga hoshii desu ka? And that's a no. And you can swap that around, and to switch out the verb. So, kami-san wa tomodachi ga imasu ka? So again, very limited language, but lots of repetition in different ways. Following on from that, again, you always, that's right. そうですね。神さんは友達が欲しいです。When I'm doing circling, sometimes I like to have a counter. So I'll say to the students up front and say, for me to do a good job, I have to provide as many chances for any new language so that you can hear it. And if I don't, I'm not doing my job. So I really need the goal is to try and give you lots and lots of hits of this word, gahoshi des, if that's the word that we are targeting. And sometimes I'll have counters and I'll say, okay, in this 5 minute period of time, how many times did did I use the word gahoshi des? So it's a good way to keep a track and keep yourself accountable too. And I think it's also really good for the students to know too that that's the reason why we are using this sort of questioning technique. So following on there, and either or. はい、どうぞ。
Do you have a sort of aim for how many gahoshis you might use in a 5 minute period? Like, is there a amount kind of?
I don't think there's a goal, like just the more you can, the better. So I don't think there's a golden number, but in a 5 minute, like if I could 25 times, that would be fantastic. Yeah.
Wow.
So gahoshi, gahosh kunai, I would include those. That's, two. That's part of the header word. So anytime they're hearing that hoshi, hosh kunai, hoshi desu ka, yeah, that'd all be considered a different, an additional number. So, yeah, I don't think there's a golden number, but I think, the more you can, the better. And, you can make it into a bit of a competition with the kids too, like, so that they're sort of testing you, and you can keep a record and say, you know, in Monday's class, my target was 25. How did I go? And, all right. And then compare to Thursday's class. All right, we're going to do it again. New counter. let's see how many times we can I can use that. I can provide you with um, that listening of that key language chunk. Yeah. Um, yeah, and then again, always, you're always rephrasing that. So, yep, that's right. Kami-san wa tomodachi ga hoshii desu. And um, after a while, what I've found is it can become then, it's easy then to include your rejoiners,そうですね. Honto. And it can become a little bit more conversational with the students when you're discussing this fact, this sentence statement. And then, the the more difficult, obviously, for the students then is creating that or the answer to the open-ended question, so the how or why. And that response might be in English. They might not know the word for, lonely, sabishi. And that's a chance then when you're hearing the English to say, そうですね。神さんはとっても寂しいです. And so, you can provide that depending on what the students give you. So whatever language is needed, rather than drilling, okay, we're going to learn, these ones, but you're taking what they want to use and inserting that and teaching that at that time. But the focus for the circling is that gahoshi desu, because that's an unknown, it's not yet acquired language. So that's for, say, movie talk. It's also a really, well, circling is great at any time that there's new language. But another way that I have used this is with the chit chat that I might have at the beginning of the class, and it might be just for, 2 or 3 minutes at the beginning, and we're talking about something. We've had previously a great discussion about toothbrushes. People can get very personal about their toothbrushes, and you can actually say quite a bit with limited language about the toothbrushes, and it's silly, and it sticks when it's a bit silly. So again, the same structures apply, those 5 steps. Make the statement. Johnson wa habarashi ga arimasu or motte imasu, depending on what you need to target for your level. And then you make that statement, ask the yes question. Class, Johnson wa habarashi ga arimasu ka? And then again, rephrasing the statement. そうですね。Johnson wa habarashi ga arimasu. Asking then the no question, you can ask, electric toothbrush, or whether it was a new toothbrush or an old toothbrush, and you've established that already, or a pink toothbrush. Again, this circling is done when you have had the oral input discussion. So depending on what comes up in the discussion, that's when you decide what you need to circle. And yeah, substituting the subject, the verb, the subject, the verb, or the object. So does Francis Sensei have the electric toothbrush? Does John eat an electric toothbrush? So you can substitute things in and out there, and circle as much as the students, when things wane, we move on, but circle while there's that uptake. And then again, the either or, and the open-ended who has an electric toothbrush, so it might open up the discussion a little bit more. And remembering always to restate the original statement correctly so that they're hearing that again. So there's plenty of chances for hopefully, 25 or 20, 25 hits of that o motte imasu or ga arimasu, whatever it is that you are hoping um, to circle. In a shared reading, the circling can be done uh, really well. Also, it's actually a really good way of giving the students processing time with reading a class novel such as Bergman, for example. So, you know, the some of the ways that you can use this is not exhausted at all, but you might say, as you're reading the book, Minasan, Bergman wa baga ga suki desu. So there's your statement. Bergman wa baga ga suki desu ka? So again, they're hearing that question, the end, that's the yes, and then exchanging for a no. 皆さん、スープ寿司はバーガーが好きですか? Or Beyonce, or again, you can switch that around. So, Burger Man は、ホットドッグが好きですか? 納豆が好きですか? So again, circling what they need to hear. And yeah, the either or, and then follow up with the open-ended questions. In a one-word image, it might look like this. Again, you're making the statement, you've got the yes, the no, either or, and the open question. So, Ryan ga imasu. So that's your I'm not sure, Tessa, if you're feeling up to having a go or not.
やってみます。
Yeah, どうぞ。
No. 心準備が必要です。I'm trying to work out what's in the picture. Sushi,
Yeah,
the
so
line.
sushi, yeah. So for example, you could go, so if we were to make the statement, Ryan ga imasu. So there is Ryan. So your follow-up would be Ryan.
猫がいますか? No?
Yeah,
Two different?
first of all, you say
Yes question.
yes. Yep.
Oh, okay.
So
So just
minasan
Ryan
Ryan
が
ga
いますか?
imasu. Yeah, that's yeah, Ryan ga imasu ka? I'll be the student, okay?
Okay. ライアンがいますか? Oh, do I
Hi.
have to make...
Oh,
Uh,
hi.
and then,
And then
はい。
you say
は
it
い。ラ
again.
イオンが、そうですね。ライオンがいます。
Mm,
And then another question.
another question.
犬がいますか?
いいえ。いいえ. And then rephrase again.
そうですね。ライオンがいます。犬がいません。
すごい。
Do you use, when you do either or questions, you go like, lion, cut, this is more grammar, just out of interest. ライオンが犬、ライオンか犬がいます。Or you use それとも? Or would
I
you
use, yeah,
repeat the sentences? Would you do
yeah.
like, ライオンがいますか? 犬がいますか?
Yeah, you could do either, yeah,
Either
either.
way.
I don't think there's a problem with that. I
Mm,
I like the soreto more because it goes with that action,
yeah.
soreto more. And I think it's just whatever
Mm,
your students are used to. So
yeah.
you could also do the ka, couldn't you? So Ryan ka, uh,
I just wondered if maybe you didn't do it because cut was a little too easy to lose in
yeah,
amongst the other stuff.
yeah. I find that soreto more, they it's it's a bigger word.
Yeah.
It grounds things a little bit more, perhaps, I think, because it's a little bit clearer. They've got that sentence, sore tomo, that sentence. So, but, again, for your older kids, if they're used to the using ka, um, that
Mm.
that's just personally how I've used it. But as I said, there
Yeah.
are many ways that you can go about it. I think the main thing is having uh, it's more using it enough so that the students are familiar with it. And when they're familiar with this sort of questioning style, then it's easier for them to follow. They're familiar with this questioning. So if you are using cut, you go ahead with it. But if you're using sore tomo, um, for the beginners, I've found that to be helpful. I think,
Yeah,
as I
I
said,
think I
because
mostly seem to end up because they're very short sentences at the moment. I mostly seem to end up just doing the two sentences and then being like dochi, but I
yeah,
feel like
and
that.
that's fine too. Dochi,
Yeah, I
dochiba
guess I just
desu ka? Mm.
yeah. Because
I,
my
I
I lean towards car. Instinctually I use car more, but
mhm.
I thought maybe it would get lost and
Mm. I
because it's
think,
such a short
yeah,
word.
I think it could, and but I think that all you would need to do is make sure you had your a poster there, or you'd have that, and every time you were using that, you came to that either or, you were pointing and pausing at that so they could see it's a or.
Hmm.
So I think, yeah,
Yeah. Okay. So sorry, I got sidetracked again.
that's all right. So I think we're up
Um,
to
it was either or, that's why I asked the
either
question.
or. Yeah, yeah.
So would you keep swapping it out? So you obviously have lion, but like I used inu before, but I
Mm.
would use another word that they kind of are familiar with.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
like lion, soretomo. Now I can't think of any
Sorry.
cognates.
Yeah. Um, Ryan, Soretomo,
I'm trying to think of
banana.
anything.
You just can be totally
Oh yeah,
stupid. Like,
random ones.
like
Yeah.
ask something stupid so that, even your slower processing kids know, you know,
Oh yeah. Okay.
obviously.
Ah,
And you just,
maska.
it's just a silly way of giving them a chance to hear that again, So I think hamming it up has always been a handy thing for me, you know.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. Or Ryan sort of more sensei. Yeah, you must go. Or, use the
Ah,
principal,
yes.
like
Yeah.
something really, really, really silly. Or yeah, Lady Gaga, whatever, some AFL player or something.
Yeah. Mm.
And then your open question.
Um. So would you use nani ga imasu ka?
Yeah, yep.
何がいますか？
何がいますか or 誰がいますか?
誰がいますか？
Yeah, that would work. All right, how about we try the second one?
ライアンは寿司が好きです。Okay. ライアンは寿司が好きです。That's my statement.
Hmm.
Um, ライアンは寿司が好きですか？
はい、はい。
そうですね。ライアンは寿司が好きです。ライアンはピザが好きですか？
いいえ、いいえ。
そうですね。ライアンは寿司が好きです。ピザが好きじゃないです。Do you bother with, would you do the negative as well?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Pizza ga suki janai desu. Hot dog ga suki janai desu. And then I would repeat that again, so you go
Mm.
through, you could add lots of things. Chocolate ga suki janai desu. Ryan wa sushi ga suki desu. And then it's
Mm.
just like, you're making this amazing statement, like, Can you believe it? And then, you could have your rejoinder kids with, OMG, like, so desu ka? And they've got their, just to generate a little bit more, um, natural
Responses,
discourse.
yeah.
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 Um, okay. I
Um,
jumped in there. Sorry.
that's all good. That's all good. We're up to the either or. This is the one I struggle with. ライ
Mm,
アンは寿司、それとも納豆が好
mm.
きですか? And
Sushi.
I'm gesturing. I don't know if you
Yeah,
can
you're
see me.
gesturing. Yeah. And some kids will say, sushi, sushi ski, or they might call out,
Mm,
sushi ga ski, or iie, natto, whatever. So,
mm.
and then you just rephrase that again. So, um,
はい。ライアンは寿司が好きです。納
mm,
豆が好きじゃないです。
mm.
ね。
And you could also then just, jump in and say, um, you know, Monique-san, sushi ga suki desu ka?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you just sort of, you're
Mm,
just asking the students then you're still keeping them connected. So they're
mm.
invested.
Yep.
So it's not all, it's not it's very organic, so you don't, this is the structure, but you can rotate, you can go
You can
forwards and
still
back a
do,
little bit. Yeah.
yeah.
And definitely connect in with the students, when you
And
can.
this is still, you're asking everyone. You're still asking
Yeah.
everyone and getting them to respond the whole
Yeah.
way through this.
Yeah. And then if there's an individual question, like, you could, for example, you could with the either or, you could do one as a class, do one as a class. So, 皆さん、Ryan は、sushi が好きですかそれとも、banana が好きですか And then they answer, and then you could say, and then check in with an individual and say, Tessa さん、ライアンは、sushi ga suki desu ka? And then you could just sort of check in individually.
Mm.
So it keeps them also a little bit accountable. So yeah, I think, or, rotate back to, uh, you know, uh,
Yes or
yes
no.
or a no. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. It's very
Okay.
flexible, but it does sort of help. It helps me anyway to remember what kind of questions I can ask. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you just finish on an open question. So,
Mm.
ライアンは何が好きですか?
Mm. Yeah. 何が好きですか?
Mhm.
Yeah. Um, all right. You want to have a
Hmm.
crack at the last one?
Okay. Is this a student's picture?
Yeah, it is actually. It's a one word image. One of the year sevens drew, and yeah, his name is Ryan. Ryan the
Ah.
Lion, which I
Oh, I
thought was
love that
quite
one.
clever of them.
Did I text them like,
Yeah,
can we just stick to the
yeah, yeah.
language trying to work on here?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, it is a balancing act. I think we were talking about this last time,
Mm,
and it is a bit of a balancing act, isn't it? Just to make sure that you've got that enthusiasm, that creativity, and
mm.
yeah, keeping it
Because they
comprehensive.
love it, and like I made, we did just a more boring exercise. We did some verb revision, and they're like, "Oh man, we have to do work again," and I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
"I think I'm winning."
yeah, yeah. I'd say that's yeah,
Yeah, I was listening to Liam Printer's one, and now you've said it too with the 5 minute thing. So I think I'm gonna
mm,
have to be more deliberate, like put up a timer and just be like, "We're gonna talk,
yeah,
we're gonna do this 5 minutes, only Japanese, like no
yep,
English."
yeah,
So,
yep. And I have done that, Tessa. It's worked really well for me. And then I say, you know what, it's only 5 minutes, and
Mm.
if we break that, it starts again, you know. So
Mm.
yeah, and
Yeah.
there's a lot of buy-in then with the kids because um, they have to work at this together then, So okay,
Mm.
it's just 5 minutes. We're just you can gesture, you can whatever, but there's no English. So um,
Mm.
yeah, I've
Yeah.
found that just keeping that bit of a
I've
time
got
limit.
them on Thursday, so I think that'll help so we don't get carried away with the time. So
Mm,
I find that because they're into it and they're offering all these suggestions, it takes us longer than I'd like to spend on
yeah,
that task. So
yeah,
it
yeah.
helps rein it in a bit in that way as well. So
And
they're very excited for their assessment because I'm going to use the PowerPoint and they're going to create their own characters, but
mm,
like individually as we go through the slideshow. So
yep,
they'll have to pick an object or a
yeah, great,
animal or whatever, and
yeah,
so hopefully
yeah.
that'll.
Oh, let me know how that goes. That sounds a really good way to recycle what they've already been exposed to, and then assess something that they've actually, yeah, language that they've been using, and
Yeah,
that's yeah,
they're
that's
very excited about it. They're all planning to make it like related to Penguin Son. I'm
yeah,
like, it
yeah,
doesn't have to be that. Yeah.
yeah. Oh, it sounds like you're onto something there. That's great. That's really good buy-in with the kids. So good job.
Yeah, I just
Yeah.
we get better at holding it. Oh, and I have put purchase order in. We finished Boris, so we decided to order Burger Man instead.
Oh, cool.
So
Yeah.
it's working its way through the school. So hopefully you'll get
Yeah.
the order.
Yeah. No worries. No,
Took forever.
good one.
Okay, sorry. I'll finish this. I'll finish the last one.
Yeah, no worries.
ブラジルにいます。Okay. ライオンはブラジルにいます。
Mm.
Sorry. あ、ライオンはブラジルにいますか？
Hi. Hi.
そうですね。ライオンはブラジルにいます。えっと、ライオンはアフリカにいますか？
Yeah. Yeah.
はい。ライオンはブラジルにいます。アフリカにいません。
Mm.
そして、I don't know how to link them. I feel like the two. うん、
Mm.
そうですね。ライオンは、
Sometimes I'll
あ
just say, じゃあチェックします。チェックします。
うん、
I'm just checking. So and that can sometimes just link things through. But I think that on air and そうですね.
うん、
Mm,
うん。
that's a good way to do
ライ
it
オ
as well.
ンは、oh gosh, I can't think of anything when I come to do this. Just what happens. I get a blank. I'm like, what's a country that sounds like a country? Like every single one of them.
Spain.
ライオンは日本
日本。
にいます。それともブラジルにいます。
ブラジルにいます。
そうですね。ライオンはブラジルにいます。日
うん。
本にいませんですね。
うん。
じゃあ、ライオンはどこにいますか？
ライアンはブラジルにいます。
すごい。よくわかりました。ライオンは
Yeah.
ブラジルにいますね。
Mm.
うん、
Yeah. So
I like
yeah,
that.
it seems simple, but in my experience, it's just, it does require a bit of practice to, you think,
Mhm,
oh yeah, okay,
definitely.
yes and a no, but it is the more practice, obviously, the smoother
Yeah.
that all gets. And, don't be afraid to circle back and do a yes and
Mm.
or a no or yeah.
And I've been for the movie talks that I've done, because they're longer, I've just been writing the notes and like printing the slides. So I have all these questions in the notes so I can
Yeah.
kind of Because
That's
like then I get there and I'm like, oh my God, I can't think of another country
yeah,
at all.
yeah,
Come on,
yeah.
brain.
I
So
do
many
get that.
options.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, I
So could you continue and do like sushi ga suki desu and that kind of thing too?
yeah, yeah.
Right?
If we put this up, it'd be, circling is I like to use to enable us to stay in Japanese as much as possible. So if we're talking about this, we've co-created it together and, we're showing this and we're doing a bit of a picture talk, if you will.
Mm,
I might circle tsubasa, because we haven't, that's a new word or not, or,
mm.
uh, you know, yeah, depending. Um, yeah, that
I
would
guess,
probably
I
be.
mean, it would be the focus would be on that language you really want them to learn. So
That's
you
right.
would have to
Yes.
decide. I guess maybe Tsubasa is probably not
Isn't
very high
not
frequency.
high
So
frequency. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So, I wouldn't, I'd be always go back to the Super 7 or the Sweet 16. So, you
Mm,
could, and you might find that a lot of kids will just pick up Tsubasa because they think or ship bolt because they think it's a cool, thing. But yeah, it would be the Super 7 there. So, um, for your kids, maybe o motte imasu or, ga arimasu, ski
mm.
desu, imasu, or if it's ni sunde imasu, I think I was using that um, for the secondary kids, ni sunde imasu. Um,
Yep. We've
yeah,
used that one.
yeah. So
So
that
we
was,
worked our way through the Penguin Sun. We did name, age, a bunch of body parts with like colors or counters. So like just hitotsu, futatsu, mitsu,
mm,
because they wanted to say he had 5 fingers on one hand and one on the other. My
mm,
students are very creative.
yeah,
um, we did work. So like
mm,
shigoto what did he was a rock star, so that was easy.
yeah, yeah,
We did
yeah,
some other ones. Likes and dislikes
mm,
and shumi,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, that kind of thing.
So you can
So
get a lot of the
yeah,
self intro stuff ticked off that way, which is really
yeah.
handy. Mm.
Which is a bit, I think, much more interesting than the more traditional way of doing it.
Yeah,
So
well, in
I'm
my
thinking
opinion.
next year with Year 7 when we do Jikoshokai, I'm going to
Mm.
do it through some characters instead of
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Because
Well,
if you do it with Year 7, you ask their age, they're all the same age.
yeah, that's
You
right.
know,
Yeah.
they all
And
live in Australia. They all,
yeah, they're all,
you know,
well, in my case, they all live in Benalla, or most of them do anyway, So
yeah.
if it's a small country town, so I found that it's far more interesting and then they can be creative then,
Mm,
you know.
yeah.
So I think,
And if you did a couple of different ones, 3 or 4 even, you could get quite a range of
yeah,
things in
yeah.
there.
You get a range of
Mm,
things, but also still um, uh, based on that stuff that you need to cover for the self-introduction. So,
yeah.
you've got variety, but you've still, you're still talking about age, but they can create their own age and, have
Mm,
more exposure to more vocab that way too. Yeah.
yeah.
So, um,
With the one you were doing on the movie talk, you were the stationary movie
mm,
talk. You were using words like tomodachi and that kind
mm,
of thing. Do
yeah.
you pre-teach it, or do you just like write tomodachi on the
Yeah,
board,
that's
or
right, Tomodachi. Mm.
because
Yep.
they make a big deal of making sure you don't have too much new language, and I find that it's a difficult
Mm.
balance for me, I guess. Like,
I think for that one, that was, um, that was when I've when I've done that particular movie talk, it's a big Tomodachi would have been one of the main, apart from the verbs,
Focuses.
the
Yeah.
main focuses. Because you're at the beginning
Mm.
of the year, you're talking about yeah, and Tomodachi, I don't know, they you can do a gesture, Tomodachi, it's
Mm.
I've found that one to be easily um, the kids, the understanding. You don't need them to produce Tomodachi, but just to understand what the
Mm.
meaning is. I think that's the
Yeah.
difference, you know. Um, yeah, but I think Tomodachi is an important one that they probably
Or
it's good
should
for
know.
them.
Yeah.
They should know
Yeah.
anyway. So yeah. Um, but yeah, it's easy to see in that movie. I don't know whether you know that one. You've seen that.
I think you did a video on it, didn't you?
Yeah,
I feel like
yeah,
I've seen it. Yeah.
yeah. I'm pretty
That
sure.
one and the girl, I can't think what it's called, who falls in love with the motorcyclist, but she's short.
Oh yes, short and
I can't,
sweet.
short and
Yeah,
sweet, yeah.
yeah, yeah. That's right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I might leave
Enjoying
it there, Tessa. Thank you.
it.
Yeah, and I look forward to hearing how it goes with your assessment. Do let me
Yeah.
know how that goes. I think you're on a winner if the kids are really excited about doing an assessment. I
Yeah.
think, that's
Yeah.
got to be a good thing.
I just have to make sure that, yeah, because there's a lot of people who like drawing and that kind of stuff, which works
Mm,
really well because I'm
mm.
rubbish. So I can just be like, all right, you draw it then.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
yeah, don't spend hours on a drawing.
mm,
Like I'm assessing you on the writing.
yeah, yes, yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. Yeah. Oh, well,
は
good
い、
luck with it.
行きましょう。
Yeah.
ありがとうございます。
どういたしまして。じゃあ、おやすみなさい。
おやすみ。
おやすみ。